Yo, what's up, hoop heads from around the globe, and welcome to another episode of Buzzer Beaters. I'm Eddie Aparicio. This is my co-host, Anthony Toine Corral, and tonight we're going to talk about the playoffs. The
Yes.
playoffs have started, and we're going to go ahead and go over how we're doing against our predictions. Some of these series are actually a lot better than I anticipated, and we're going to go through that. We're also going to talk about the rookie league that we actually did. I tallied up all of the points from all of our players that we drafted from this year's rookie class, and I tallied up all the points, and you're going to see who actually is the overall leading point getter from a fantasy standpoint from all the rookies that we have on our teams. And then you're going to see second, third, all that stuff. Some of the results could surprise you. The third thing is we're going to go ahead and review our conference standings, and this is something that Toine and I came up with a point system where we predicted where we thought each of the teams would finish in each of the respective conferences and where they were going to finish. And we put a point system to it, and we're going to add up the totals to see who beat who on that. And then the last one is end of season awards. We had made predictions in the beginning of the season who we thought were going to be the end of season award recipients. One of them we know has already been awarded. The other one, which is this clutch player of the year, we didn't have that as a category that we predicted. No. That's one that was made up a few years ago by the NBA to kind of give more, I guess, awards. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started on that. But this is our walk around the NBA. All right, so Toine, let's go ahead and go into the playoffs, bro. All right. Now, what you see here, for those of you who you have your screens, you can see I have a caption here that shows the series. For those of you who are listening, we'll go ahead and describe what's going on here. But anyway, so in the West, we have the Thunder leading the series against the Suns 1-0. We all knew that this was going to be a beatdown. Whoever it was, whether it be the Suns or the Warriors, we knew that this was going to happen. And dude, the Thunder are they're so freaking athletic, and their defense is unbelievable, bro. Yeah. Right. So did you get a chance to see any of the games?
I watched a little bit of the first game. They're playing right now.
They're playing right now.
Thunder's up by about 8 points. So if you don't want to know the score, I won't announce it. But Thunder are up right now. But yeah, no. As you mentioned, the Thunder's a tough squad. The Suns came back from a couple of games. They were probably a little tired. This game seems to be a little more competitive than the first game. The first game, the Thunder just owned them, and they just ran away with it. So there was no cobwebs around rest time or anything. Like they look solid.
And you know the thing is that you got Jalen Williams back, and he has missed a lot of the season, man. And that guy came back and played really well, for the playoffs. And that, they were winning games without him for quite some time. They were winning games with a lot of these guys, throughout the season that were out due to injury.
Correct.
So, I think, we predicted that both of us picked the Thunder. You picked them in 6. I picked them in 5. And it's going to be one. It could be 4-0, man. And if it happens, I'm the one who gets closer, right? Because I picked 5. And anyway. So, all right, bro. So anyway, let's go on to the other one. Now, this one is a surprising development. The Lakers are leading the Rockets 2-0. And I got to tell you, man.
And convincingly.
Dude, and it surprises me that actually the Lakers are doing this without arguably their two best players, with Luka and Austin Reeves. They're both out, and we don't know when they're going to come back. I think they're projected to come back some point in this series. But man, are they going to really need them? I mean, one thing I can tell you about this Lakers team is that, dude, they play really hard defense, man. I'm pretty impressed at how well this team seems to be very connected defensively, which is a far cry from what I remember from years past recently, that the Lakers being that defensive minded. So what are your observations did you get a chance to see either one of those games?
I did.
Out of the first game.
Yeah. So some observations are LeBron's playing out of his mind. He's playing really well. That second game, Marcus Smart played really well. I do want to touch on that's a little controversial, and I want to see what your thoughts are here, Eddie. So earlier in the year, we had a podcast where we talked about anytime, had we been underestimating Dylan Brooks, because every team that he's played for, that team to some degree seems to have overachieved. Yes. We thought the Suns were going to be not even a play-in team. We thought they had nothing going for them, and they ended up making the playoffs as the 8th seed. So the reason I'm bringing that up is, are we starting to look at Durant as the opposite? Is Durant wherever he goes underperforming?
Oh, interesting. Interesting, because you got three proofs in the pudding with the Brooklyn Nets, the Phoenix Suns, and now the Houston Rockets.
Correct. The only exceptions are the Thunder, and even the Thunder never got to the finals, right? So, I mean, I wouldn't say they underperformed. They were all young, but they had a spectacular team. You know, one could argue that the talent on the Thunder at that time equaled the talent on the Warriors. They had Westbrook, they had Harden, they had Durant, all very young, all really good players, and they never made it to the NBA Finals. Granted, Durant left and joined the Warriors. But I'm starting to wonder, you know, the Rockets really look bad. They don't look good. You know, we had in the middle of the season, we talked about Durant's ghost account, you know, supposedly ripping the Rockets, and you and I kind of asked openly, is this going to affect the way they play down the road? And it
has an effect, man. It's definitely the team is a culmination of a bunch of talented guys. The one issue that I see with the Rockets is, and this was an issue even last season, Fred VanVleet was their only real outside threat. Correct. Their only outside shooting threat. Everybody else, you know, is hit and miss, right? Yes. But you have emerging guys that are really emerging guys on this team, with Amen Thompson being one of them, and then Şengün being the other one. These are two rising stars. Amen Thompson's a defensive beast, but he can't shoot worth a lick, man. Yeah. And now the problem is, you know, Fred VanVleet, you know, is hurt. He's out. He's missed the entire season. Then comes in Durant, and you know, when Durant was actually put on the team, you know, Fred VanVleet had not gotten hurt, and all of a sudden he got hurt. And we're like, oh my God, this screws them, right? They have no shot. If they have Fred VanVleet, they would be a problem. The problem with this team is that they really lack shooting, really. And if they can shut down Durant, they're going to struggle, man, unless they can find a way to get, you know, Şengün down low and be able to, create a matchup issue with the size and his craftiness. He's not a Jokic, he's a baby Jokic, but he's nowhere near the skill set. So that's the challenge I see with the Rockets, is that they don't have enough shooting to progress. But neither do the Lakers. Yeah. But they're timely.
The Lakers are just outplaying them. I mean, you know, the thing about it is the Lakers have kind of done this all year. They've played over their head, you know, because you know, Luka was out for a while, Reeves was out for a short period, LeBron was out for a while, and they just kind of kept chugging along and figuring it out and winning. You know, I got to give some credit to JJ Redick. You know, I didn't think that was I didn't think that was a particularly good hire at the time. I was like, whatever. You know, it seemed like it was more of a publicity stunt than anything else. Yep. You know, him and LeBron did a podcast together. Yes. I'm thinking, all right, whatever. But I really got to give him credit. He's really got this team kind of fighting, moving forward, pushing together, and the Rockets are crumbling. And if the Rockets don't win their 2 home games coming up here, I mean, this is going to be over in a gentleman's sweep, I think.
Yep, and what's interesting, bro, is that I projected them to the Rockets to win in 5. That ain't happening. And you projected the Rockets to win in 6, and that likely isn't going to happen either, man. So that exactly, man. So anyway, that's a surprising development in that series. All right, so now we got the Wolves and the Nuggets. Now, this one is tantalizing. I thought it was a very tantalizing matchup from the outset. Now, the Nuggets got game 1, the Wolves got game 2. Then you saw a little scuffle between Anthony Edwards and Jokic. You know, it was minor, but it's still something, right? Jokic was just trying to get the ball away from Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards didn't like it, because he just didn't like it, right? So, but we'll see what happens in game 3. Because, I always thought this was a really good matchup from the start, right? This features 2 teams that have really good players. And, I picked the Nuggets in 6. You picked the Nuggets in 7. These, both of them are still in play, all right? And it's must see. In my opinion, this one is the most exciting series for me to watch. It's the one I look forward to the most. Because
I agree. This is the most competitive matchup. Not including injuries or anything like that. This is the most competitive matchup.
Yeah, without injuries. Yeah, because now, if you go to the next series, the Spurs and the Blazers, you got
it just became competitive.
It just became competitive because Wembanyama suffered a concussion, and they're projecting that he may not even come back until game 5. That's like crazy. I'm like, what? That long? Yeah. But dude, when he fell down, it looked like he got knocked out. Did you see that when he fell down?
No, I saw he felt so weird. Like he didn't even use his hands to like brace himself. It's like
Yes.
it's like he kept his hands back on purpose or something. I don't. It was just a really weird kind of looking fall. And yeah, I mean, I had heard that he may not be back till Game 7 if there is one. And I don't know what's going on with that, but obviously he's got a clear protocol. He's for sure not playing for the next 48 hours, which already excludes the next game. So he's out for the next game guaranteed. And then he's got to pass a series of tests. And then, but he fell. I couldn't tell if he was blacked out or he was just kind of closing his eyes and going through the pain. But he looked blacked out for a minute. And
it did. I mean, that was a hard fall, bro. That was a hard fall. That was a hard fall. I was like, when I saw him, like, ooh. And then, like, it looked like he just, like, completely, like, lost consciousness for, like, a few seconds. It's like, whoa, that's concerning, right? And he fell down really hard. He jarred his head really hard against the floor, man. And, that made the brain kind of just do a quick little whoops right to the back of his skull. And that's what that's the concussions that people worry about those, right? So, but anyway, that's become the Blazers were the team that I thought the Warriors shouldn't even face. We're seeing that the Blazers are a dangerous team now. Without Wembanyama, this one can easily go 7, and there's a possibility that there could even be an upset. Because they're more evenly matched. Now, we both picked the Spurs in 5, so that one is not
still possible, but
it's possible, but highly unlikely now, man, because of the injury.
Yeah.
Now, if Wembanyama were to come back the next game, then I'd say, that's still in play, but I don't think so, brother, man. So we'll see.
Correct. And granted, that game too, I think the final was 106-103. They only won. The Blazers only won by like 3 points. And San Antonio is still a very solid team without Wembanyama. Obviously, they are far superior with him on that squad. But Cornette is a very serviceable backup. So they, Castle's a hell of a player. De'Aaron Fox is a hell of a player. One thing to note there is Barnes is at the end of the rotation. He's hardly playing. I don't know what's going on with the Black Falcon there, but he's not cawing too much. He's kind of grounded. So we'll see. They put that little hood on him. The little hood they put on the birds so they can't fly.
Yeah, right.
They put a little cap on him, So
the Black Falcon has been grounded. But hey, we got to give out a shout out to a couple of 3 end of season awards have been awarded, and 2 of them have been awarded to the Spurs. Okay, now one of them is the Defensive Player of the Year, and we have that's going to be our next thing after we talk about this. But Defensive Player of the Year, we both predicted that Wembanyama would be the guy, and he did become the guy. He's the Defensive Player of the Year, and rightfully so. He earned it. Now it's likely he also could be a candidate. He is a candidate for MVP, so he might even get that too. We shall see. That's coming soon.
Well, so I will add to that Wembanyama performed a feat that Curry's only performed, and that is he was unanimously voted. He was unanimous Defensive Player of the Year, and Curry's the only one to ever get an MVP unanimously. So kudos to him. And I when I heard that, I'm like, what does that mean for his MVP voting? Because that means everybody thought he was the best defensive player, hands down. That's got to help him for the MVP race.
Absolutely. And he's argued that defense is half the game. That should be given a higher regard when you're voting for some of these awards, right?
I agree.
So but the other awards that were awarded, the other Spur that just got awarded was the 6th Man of the Year, Keldon Johnson. He was just awarded that. So congratulations to the Spurs. And we both picked different guys. We'll get to when we get there. And then the last award, it's not here, but the Thunder, we've already talked about the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did get the Clutch Player of the Year. We talked about that briefly, but hey, whatever that means, hey, whatever, right? Congratulations, Shai. All right, man. Let's go to the East.
Interesting you point out though, Eddie. Right now, all the awards have been given out to the Western Conference players.
Yeah. So exactly. Well, it tells you the Western Conference is a little bit better, right? So.
I mean, the Eastern Conference had a pretty good year though. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so let's go on to the East. So here's one that's a very surprising development. The Magic beat out the Pistons. Now the Pistons won again tonight, so it's actually 1-1 now, right?
It is
but
1-1.
The thing is, that was a surprising loss by the Pistons. Although not apparently, they had not won a home playoff game since I don't know how long ago, 2007, I think it was. And that's a long time ago, man. It's almost 20 years that it's been that they've lost 12 consecutive until tonight, 12 consecutive home playoff games, the Pistons. So that, if I had known that prior, I probably would have went ahead and voted differently on or predicted a different, outcome as far as the games went. So I picked the Pistons in 5. You picked the Pistons in 6. Both are still in play, brother. So, anything that
did you happen to see the third quarter today?
Tonight?
Yeah, tonight.
No,
Yeah,
no, I was stuck in traffic, man.
Dude, the Pistons scored like 30. I want to say they allowed like 6 or 8 points. It was something.
Oh yeah. I did see that.
It was crazy.
They scored 38 points, I think, and then they only gave up 16. I think that's what it was. They had a 22-point delta, in the third quarter.
Yeah, well, it was tied in the half, and by the end of the third, it was a blowout.
Yeah,
It was crazy. Yeah, so to me, I think it was just the Pistons kind of getting their sea legs. They had been resting for a while. I think they may win the next 3 games after this. I mean, they won tonight.
They just had the wake-up call. They lost it, woke them up, and you're like, crap.
I mean, the Magic looked overwhelmed, and I think that'll continue. I think they found their rhythm, and we'll see. We'll see how it gets, because obviously,
but the Magic
in Orlando is going to be tough. Just because the crowd will get excited and all that. But
the thing is, in their minds, Magic, they probably like, okay, we're playing on house money right now. How badly do we want to win game 2? We already accomplished what we came to do, and that's steal one of these 2 games. Now we have home court advantage, right? So they probably took their pedal off the metal a little bit, just because they maybe had that goal in their minds. Let's just win 1, and they kind of just relaxed a little bit on the second game, which is human nature, right? It happens, man. So all right, bro. So let's go to the next series. We got the Cavs are leading the Raptors, man. And this is something we both picked. We both projected that the Raptors would win in 7 games. Now that's still possible, but that means all the home teams win throughout until game 7, and that's who knows what, right? But we both picked the Raptors. To me, the Cavs have been playing way better than I actually expected. Honestly, they're playing way better than I expected, and the Raptors, they have been playing okay. They just seem to be a little bit maybe looking like they're not playoff ready right now.
Yeah, I
Too
agree.
big of a stage for them right now. But the thing is that they have the talent and they can. We'll see what happens in game 3 when they go back to Toronto and see what happens here, man. But I'm surprised at that development. I thought the Raptors would easily still won one of these 2 games.
I thought the same thing. And as of right now, Harden is not playing playoff Harden. So playoff Harden always drops a level. He plays subpar his traditional statistics. He's been playing better. So if he continues to do that, Cleveland's going to be a serious contender for getting to the Eastern Conference Finals and possibly beyond that. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. If the Raptors win game 1 in Toronto, I still think it's possible for them to pull it out. But we'll see how that looks.
I agree, man. I agree. So, all right, man. So the next series, Hawks versus the Knicks. Now, the Hawks are a pesky team. Now, we have, a guy that just got traded over there, or 2 guys. One of them's getting playing time. The other one is not. And it's interesting that this guy, Jonathan Kuminga, has been the talk here locally because of how well he played in game 2. And actually was a big reason why they beat the Knicks in game 2. Now, I knew this series was going to be tough. The Hawks are a team that could create problems. I predicted the Hawks to win this in 7. You projected the Knicks to win this in 6. Now, both of these are still in play. And I just think the Knicks, they to me, like we talked about this, they pretty much have a 1A and 1B, kind of, they don't have a true 1, between Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. And the thing is that Mikal Bridges, he hasn't been playing like he had been playing, in the earlier in the season, and also from the Phoenix Suns. He's a little bit streaky now, which is very surprising. Hold on a second, bro. I gotta go ahead and put my hold on, brother. I'll be right back, man. I just realized that I have to plug in. Keep talking, brother. I'll be right back, man. I just realized that my batteries are running out of juice, man. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So as far as the Hawks Knicks, from my perspective, I think this is going to be a pretty competitive series. I do still feel that the Knicks will pull it out. There's been a lot of blowback on Jalen Brunson. I've heard a lot of things, like the New York Knicks fans aren't, the love they once felt isn't as strong. Cat's kind of a polarizing figure. So from my end, we'll see how they do. As Eddie was alluding to, Bridges has become quite streaky. The Hawks are, CJ McCollum has really kind of supposedly become the villain in this series. But he's a speaking of clutch players of the year, anywhere inside the 3-point line, he's pretty money. He's been pretty solid on these mid ranges. He attacks the hoop pretty well. At the end of game one, the reality is the Knicks probably should have pulled that off after the Hawks missed. After CJ McCollum missed 2 free throws, they had an opportunity to just get a basket, a 2-point, and win the game. So the Knicks could, in theory, be up 2-0, but I think this is going to be competitive. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Knicks play in Atlanta these next 2 games. I think for me, this game has become the second most watchable series.
I agree.
behind the Wolves and Nuggets, just because we got the youth and we got the Knicks. Yeah,
I agree, brother. So this one, I have a vested interest in watching this just because I want to see Jonathan Kuminga. I told you that this guy's going to flourish there, man, and I'm going to be proven right because this guy is going to flourish there. I know it. I can just tell.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is Kuminga's doing some of the things that we wanted him to do here, but he wouldn't.
And I told you that he was probably holding out, man. And you said you'd be pissed if he was going to do that. And I think
absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to get. I mean, I hope the young man does well. I don't have any kind of anything against him. I hope he. I still don't think he's going to be like a star player. I think he's going to be a role player.
He's going to be a rotational piece.
Rotational piece. But I want to see him do well. And if this is what it took for him to learn that he's got to do some of the other stuff, then more power to him, because it didn't seem like it was ever going to happen in Golden State.
Yeah, no, I hear you, brother. I hear you, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. So the last series, before we go into our next segment, is the Celtics and Sixers. Now, the Celtics won game 1, Sixers won game 2, and Sixers have been doing this without Joel Embiid. Now, we knew that the Sixers are a dangerous team. They have 3 pretty good players in Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid, but they've been doing it without Joel Embiid for the first 2 games of this playoff series. You also have Kelly Oubre who plays, and he has, he can do, damage at times, but he's streaky. He's really streaky, right? So the thing is that this team, when fully assembled, can create problems. Now, that's the problem. They can't be fully constructed or fully assembled because injuries have been getting in the way with Paul George or Joel Embiid. But this is kind of
and don't forget about Edgecombe. He's been playing.
Edgecombe's killing it, dude. He's killing it. Absolutely, he's killing it. He's been playing very well. I agree with you, man. And by the way, just so you know, we both predicted the Celtics. I predicted them in 6, and so did you. Okay, so that's still in play. So, but anyway, what do you see anything that happened in this first 2 games in this series that says that maybe the Sixers can beat the Celtics, or do you think that it's just
I absolutely think the Sixers can beat them. I mean, the Celtics, I mean, they're as full powered as they can be now, given the players that they traded. But I thought the whole year the Celtics outplayed what I thought they would do. They played much better than I thought they would do. And if they can continue that, then they should win this series. But the question is, were they outplaying themselves and now reality's coming back and catching them a little bit? And the Sixers, Maxey's a hell of a player, dude. Like for me, Maxey is potentially the difference maker in whether the Celtics win this series or not, just on how headstrong he is. Because that dude he'll take on the world to try to win the game. And, I love that guy. I mean, I think he's a hell of a player. And so we'll see how that happens. But I absolutely think the Sixers could win this. But I think it will take the Celtics coming back to reality a little bit to where they should have been all along. But again, they have Tatum back. They're playing with their different players.
Well. He's been playing well.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I still would think that I'm still not worried, but I think it is possible that the Sixers could upset them. And I wouldn't consider it such a huge upset.
Okay, interesting. I would think that it would be an upset, not a huge upset, but it would definitely be an upset because the Celtics definitely have been playing way over their heads without Tatum, and now with Tatum, they're showing kind of like they were, when they won the championship in 2023. So, they're a team that's still to reckon with, even though they've lost Porzingis, they lost Al Horford, they lost Luke Cornett. they're still formidable the way they are constructed.
Don't forget Drew Holiday, which
Drew
I think
Holiday
is
too.
the
They have so they have Peyton Pritchard now, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, of course, he's been playing awesome. And and then Neemias Queta, he's been playing well, although he's not killing it the first 2 games, but he's been playing well too overall. So anyway, so all right, man. So we're done with the playoffs. We're gonna go ahead and review this next week. We're like I said, we're here every week. Every Thursday is probably when it's gonna air. But we're gonna continue to talk about the playoffs here, man. So all right, man. Let's go on to the next segment about our walk around the NBA. So now Toine and I had a rookie league that we're gonna, the draft is coming up in June, right? And we're gonna do this again. We're gonna draft players, and then we're gonna come up with a rookie league again, like we did. This is our second year of doing this rookie league, and what we do is we draft 5 players, 4 from the first round, and then 1 from the second round. Toine had the first pick, so he picked Cooper Flagg, and then I put, from there, it just kind of went from there. I think I took Dylan Harper's second pick, and then we can go from there how it happened. But what you see here, for those of you that don't have a screen, is I have the totals of our 5 players and how they scored from a fantasy points perspective. And this is the points are points, rebounds are 1.2 points per, assists are 1.5 points per, and steals and blocks are 3 points each, and then turnovers are -1. So the numbers that you see here, you can see Cooper Flagg, Toine's team, he scored 2,886.5 fantasy points. Okay, this is not points, but fantasy points. He is by far the highest scoring guy out of all the players that were drafted, and he missed a lot of time. Now, the second guy that was best on this list is Kuminga. He scored 2,670.12 points. You can see that a lot of the talk has been which one of these 2 dookies are going to win the rookie of the year. And you predicted Cooper Flagg, right? Okay. I predicted Dylan Harper, not even close, right? Dylan Harper, you can see he only scored, where is he at on my list? He only scored 1,626.6 points. So you can see here all the players. I'll read them all off. Toine's team scored 7,166.15 points. Cooper Flagg 2,886.5. Then you had Ace Bailey, the second best scoring player on his team, was 1,869.2 points. Then Trey Johnson of the Washington Wizards at 1,255.4 points. Then Rasheer Fleming of the Phoenix Suns scored 618.1 points. And then Kaman Malawach, 536.95 points. Now, I know why you picked those guys, bro, because you didn't think the Phoenix Suns were going to be jacked. Correct. And these guys didn't get any playing time, right?
Yeah, their success hurt my rookie team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I won. So I won like by 1,430 points or 31 points or whatever it was. And then the guy the star of my team was Kuminga. Then VJ Edgecombe. You can see like VJ Edgecombe was very close to Kuminga in terms of overall output. Kuminga is at 2,670.12 points, fantasy points. Edgecombe is at 2,662.5 points. So you can see that the voting is going to be interesting, the voting, but it's showing that the rookie of the year voting is more than likely going to be Flagg, Kuminga, Edgecombe in that order, right? And then Dylan Harper will be somewhere down the line. Dylan Harper was the 3rd best on this list out of all the guys we drafted. So anything else want to add on this, brother?
No, not much. I mean, it was an exciting season. I think Harper, I think Harper also hurt you based on the success that the San Antonio Spurs had, right? Because I think he would have played more.
Yeah, he had a calf strain for a long time.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But, no comments. This is fun. Next year's rookie team is going to be really interesting because there's going to be a lot of players to kind of pick from. So to constitute that team, and just to remind everyone out there, the rules of the team is we get 4 first-rounders and 1 second-rounder. So if you're asking why we pick certain players, well, that's because we had to pick at least 1 second-round player.
Yep. And we're going to invite the those of you listening, when we have that episode of drafting, we want you to draft the same, draft 4 players from the first round and 1 from the second round. And then we're going to put you to the challenge to see if you can beat our teams. All right.
Speaking of Eddie, I learned a little fun fact on watching the Detroit game today. Did you know that Ben Wallace wasn't drafted?
Ben Wallace?
Yes.
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So neither
Wow.
did I. So
Wow.
he's a Hall of Famer that was never even drafted.
That's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. I
Wow.
was just, I wanted to share that because we're talking about rookies and drafting and things of that nature. So I didn't know that. So
Dude,
I just
you know
learned
what?
that on the
We got to
podcast
look to
today.
see how many Hall of Fame players have been undrafted. That's a good old thing to look up. We're going to do that in
maybe
episodes.
we'll do our top best player of undrafted class.
Yes, or the Mount Rushmore of undrafted players. The Mount Rushmore, the top four.
Yeah.
That's a good one, bro. We're going to do that, man. So we'll do that maybe next episode. All right, man. So we're going to go on to the next. We have the last segment, and this is just a review of our end of season award predictions. Now you will see here on the caption here is that the first one for MVP, you picked Jokic, I picked Jokic. Now it's likely going to be Shea, from what a lot of people are saying. There's a lot of voter fatigue on Jokic. Now I haven't done the player greatness index measurement on Jokic versus Shea, but I will do that, and then we can go ahead and figure out who's really going to win it. Now, I probably should have done that today because the MVP is going to be announced real soon, man. But we'll see what happens here, man. Okay, most improved player, MIP. Toine, you picked Amen Thompson.
I'm not getting it.
That didn't happen because that Keldon Johnson of the San Antonio. No, he didn't get it. He got the sixth man. So Amen Thompson is definitely going to do better than mine. Grady, Harry, don't call me Harry. Dick, right? So Grady Dick was my prediction, and he didn't get that much playing time, man. He didn't get much playing time
I'm
at all.
better than you, but Amen Thompson is not winning the most improved player. Absolutely not.
Yeah, but he's a stud though. Amen Thompson's hella good, man.
Yeah,
I like him. He just needs to develop an outside shot.
He's good, but he hasn't made enough significant amount of a jump from last season to this season. As you mentioned, he struggles offensively, and that's really where I thought he was going to progress this year. I thought he was going to focus on some of that, and I still think that he's still going to be a hell of a player. I mean, you and I have on many occasions talked about that. It seems that very good defensive players that adjust their offensive game end up being really good players, as a Kawhi Leonard, as Russell Westbrook. As of there's a certain set of players, and it seems like that's a pretty good formula. And I still think Amen Thompson might be in that formula.
Jimmy Butler,
Jimmy Butler. So might be in that formula, but time will tell. But he does need to improve his offensive game in order to start getting some of these awards.
Yep, I agree, brother. I agree. All right, so defensive player of the year, we both got that prediction right. Wembanyama, congratulations, he did win defensive player of the year. Rookie of the year. Yeah, we've already kind of gone through the numbers here on the last segment, but Cooper Flagg, you picked Cooper Flagg. I picked Dylan Harper. I just didn't want to pick the same guys you did. You're going to win that one. Cooper Flagg is going to win that. So, so we're going to see the final tally once it happens here. But and then for sixth man, none of us got it. You picked DeAndre Hunter. I picked Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony is not even freaking playing. Or he got traded from the Bucks, so I don't know. I forgot where he went. I was just kind of making Hail Mary guesses here, man.
That's fun.
And then so coach of the year is the last one. You picked Ime Udoka, and I picked Jamal Mosley of the Magic. I don't think either of these guys.
No, I think Bickerstaff's going to get it. To be honest,
either Bickerstaff or maybe Mitch Johnson of the Spurs. Right, it's one of those two guys. They're going to win. Yeah, Bickerstaff definitely from the Pistons. He definitely deserves it.
As you can tell from my votes here, I thought Houston was going to have a really good. I thought this was the year that Houston was really going to, and that's why I got to start questioning: is Durant, the Jinx, the mush, as they like to say,
the mush,
the mush. And so I don't know what happened, but part of me likes to believe that if they never traded for Durant, they might have ended up doing better than they did with Durant.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I think the Fred VanVleet injury.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but but they still should be better than they are.
They should be better. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. They should be. Yeah. They have a lot of good athletes on that team, and they should be a lot better than they are. I agree with you, man. Right on, brother. Hey, well, that's our show for this week. This is Buzzer Beaters. We are brought to you by grumblingsmedia.com. You can find us there. or wherever you find your podcast. We're here weekly. We're going to be here again next week to cover the playoffs. We're probably going to also do our Mount Rushmore of undrafted players. We're going to continue that series because if you haven't seen any of those are probably our most watched episodes, are all the Mount Rushmore episodes, because we did arguments on who the best shooting guard, point guard, small forward, centers, all this stuff. We went that whole process. It's a fun segment. Check it out. You can look at the most popular podcast, and we're at the top. That's the one. So if you want to delve into that and see kind of how we cover it, we'll go ahead and that'll be a preview of what's to come for next week. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, anyway, everyone, have a good rest of the week. Until then, we're signing off. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey everybody, this is William Del Pilar, founder of Grumblings Media, and I want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our all-volunteer efforts at Grumblings Media, smash the subscribe button right here. 100% free, and please consume and share our great content. Click either one of these two boxes for more of our work.